Moto2's World Championship has already been decided as well. Now we're going to rise up to the challenge. Welcome to the Sepang International Circuit in Malaysia for round 19 of MotoGP in 2024. Let's head down to the grid as well and join Rachel.
Get these cool towels on you. Thank you very much. Good luck. Thank you.
Back to Susie.
Yeah, the track temperature out there, Michael, is 55 degrees, so it is elevating, isn't it?
It's the hottest point all weekend. The track temperature is up, but the ambient is so hot, humid. There's no air out there. These riders are trying their best to stay cool with a little bit of ice on the towel, cold drinks, although you don't want it too cold because it goes straight through you. Trying to keep hydrated and cool is critical now on the grid.
And one of the reasons they're standing on the side there is you get that breeze, but you're off the track, and the heat comes up off the track, doesn't it?
Absolutely. The track temperature is 55 degrees. It burns you. It's already burning through your feet. You feel it bouncing back in your face. If you get a little bit of shade, get on the grass, it makes a huge difference.
That's the scene here in Malaysia. I would like to talk to you about Dennis Onchu, who goes from the middle of the second row. A fine place for the rookie, and he's been looking pretty good this weekend, Mike.
He's been typical Dennis Onchu, a live wire, loose, fast, a few little mistakes here and there. But middle of the second row, I would say he's got a good shot at a podium because his rhythm's been there all the way from Friday morning. It's been working for him, and it just seems comfortable with the bike loose in these hot, slick conditions.
Yeah, he's like your exact opposite of Jorge Navarro. Jorge Navarro sat on pole, and he's not even had a breath yet. He's there, he's anxious. Dennis Onchu sat in the second row of the grid, and he'll be fancying himself. He'll be revved up for this, really motivated.
We're looking at Celestino Vietti there. We just talked about him coming back from injury and putting it all together this weekend and looking in good form. What about the world champion then? Ayagura is going from the third row here. Never been particularly bothered about having to get onto the front row. What can he do today?
Well, he'll be in the mix. He looked throughout this weekend, I was watching him, that he was working more on race pace, hence he probably sacrificed a little bit in qualifying. He should fight for victory. He's good at starts. He always goes forward. He's very aggressive on these opening laps. So yeah, I expect I to be in the mix.
Jake Dixon had a big crash on Friday, and it actually went out and was fastest. I mean, he looked sublime around this circuit, but then really bashed his knee around and has been hobbling around ever since. He's qualified in 12th. He's hurting, isn't he?
He is. I've seen him this morning, and he has lost the crutch, or at least he was carrying it along rather than utilising it to assist him. He's been in a lot of discomfort since the crash. His rhythm was so good on Friday. It's a massive shame that he did crash. Second flying lap of the dry session in the afternoon was enough to leave him right at the top of the timesheets. He was so quick. So I still think he's got something to offer, but in this heat, whenever you're carrying a little bit of an injury, it's going to be a tough race ahead for him.
It almost exaggerates it, doesn't it? Let's find out how he's feeling. He's going from the fourth row, and Rachel is by.
Jake, you have really been in the wars this weekend. Not one, but two crashes, even though you were fastest on Friday. I've got to ask, firstly, how is the body? How are you feeling in 12th?
Yeah, no, I'm all good, ready to go. Crash is a crash. Get on with it. It's part and parcel of the racing. Yeah, I feel better for the long runs than I do for the one lap. So, yeah, I'm ready to get going now. I'm actually really looking forward to it.
In the race, is the body going to hold out with this kind of longer race and the conditions?
I think it's going to be difficult for everyone, so let's see what we can do.
As always, we wish you the best of luck. Well done.
You almost hope as though it's a leveller. I mean, it's the hottest it's been across the weekend for all of the riders, and we're melting, you know. We're completely sweating. It's hard to imagine what it's like in a race suit, Neil. Explain.
Yeah, it's so uncomfortable. You can imagine when... Think about when you're at home in the UK and we have a rare day where it's in the high 20s and people are going, oh, it's ridiculous, it's so hot. Well, imagine, it feels twice as hot here. It's sort of mid-30s, but because of the humidity, it feels worse, or hotter, I should say. And then you've got your leathers on, you've got your boots, helmet, gloves. It's incredible. And once you start sweating, you can't stop. Then you sat on a motorcycle that's overheating. You've got the track temperature that's 55 degrees. That's bouncing up at you. You can't escape it. It's all about mindset. And I was smiled to myself listening to Jake. I'm looking forward to the race. He's telling himself he's looking forward to the race. He's also mentioned everyone's going to suffer. He's preparing himself for a battle. It's 40 minutes of hell when you're out there, but no one enjoys it. So you've just got to think, I'm going to attack. And whenever I'm at those moments where you want to give in, you want to quit, you've got to think, every bit of effort I put into training is for this moment, and I'm not going to quit.
Well, we are looking at shots of Aaron Canet there. He's going from the 5th row. But let's jump forward to the 2nd row. We talked about Dennis Onchu earlier. Let's collect his thoughts now.
Dennis, really good qualifying position for you. Middle of the 2nd row. I mean, you can see the heat's taking its toll on you already. It's hot and humid out here. What's the plan?
Well, here today is just to enjoy. I'm lucky to start from the 2nd row. This is what I was needed, to start from the front. Just long race, very hot temperature. Let's see how is the conditions will be in the race. But I'm here to enjoy every single lap, and I want to fight for the podium. If not, I will push for that.
Good luck. Thank you, Dennis. Thank you.
Sounds like Dennis is ready for anything there from the 2nd row. You can see that breeze just blowing through his hair there, which is good for them. Aaron Canet, I'm glad we've gone back to him, obviously from Valencia, and you'll see the QR code in the corner of your screen. If you scan that and you wish to donate, that is the way to do it. But Aaron Canet will also be racing for Valencia.
He will, and he's been the rider on form of recent races, but struggled a little bit this weekend. For whatever reason, it hasn't come as easy. He's had to really dig deep and out of sorts really down in the 13th on the grid, 5th row. Bit of work to do, but you never count him out. He seems one of the best dealing with the hot conditions. We've seen it in Indonesia, again in Thailand. When it's hot and humid, he's always fast right to the end. 17 laps is a long way here.
Final hug for Jake Dixon there. What kind of race then do you think we're going to get? Because it doesn't seem like it's an out-and-out favourite.
No, there isn't. I'm quite excited for this one. I mean, we've had some really good ones this year. We've got an upside-down grid. It's a strange front row for all the reasons we've already talked about. And the 2nd row, really, apart from Tony Arbolino's quite strong, I can't see a big breakaway. I'm expecting a group. I'm expecting a good race.
Well, fingers crossed that you're right. We would like to see that, and it would be fantastic if we could see the man from 12th on the grid, Jake Dixon, do well, wouldn't it? You're seeing shots of Iagura and the great crowd here that's collected around this. Our 2nd race of the day then. Moto2 is on the way, and your pole man is Jorge Navarro. Michael's on the way to the commentary box to join Gavin Emmett.
Thank you very much, Susie. Yeah, strange looking front row for this Moto2 race. The new champion's back on the 3rd row. It's Celestino Vietti back from injury. Marcos Ramirez, who took his first podium of the season, in 2nd, and Jorge Navarro standing in for Joe Roberts, who starts on pole position.
Moto2's Grand Prix of Malaysia is a few moments away, and here's your starting grid. Jorge Navarro on a debut, gets it one here as well in the series, deputising for Joe Roberts. He's on pole. Marcos Ramirez makes it a OF American Racing 1-2. Justina Vietti makes it 3rd on the grid as well for Red Bull KTM Ijo. Then it's Albert Arenas, Dennis Onchu, Tony Arbolino, Iagura, Manuel Gonzalez and Diego Monrella. Philip Salak, and then alongside Iagura, Jake Dixon down in 12th after his horrible crash on Friday. He's okay. Aaron Canet, Zonta van der Gerberg and Somkat Chancha. Then that takes in with Barry Boltus, Jeremy Arcoba, Senna Igus, Sergio Garcia, Alonso Lopez, Mario Argi, Darren Binder, Dennis Foggia, Juan Masia, Alberto Sura, Javier Cardenas, Alice Esgray, Javier Artegas, Hermin Asman, Harrison Vautier, and then as well with Parry back at 31st on the grid as well. 31 riders means that we can't even fit them all on the monitor. But we're under starters orders. The rain that was predicted has not arrived. It's beautiful conditions here at the Sepang International Circuit in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. And let's check in with TNT's Gavin Emmett and Michael Laverty as we're on the parade lap now.
From the pit lane back here as Iagura gets to enjoy this one. I'm not sure whether you will, because it looks steamy out there.
Yeah, it's so hot. The sun is relentless. All weekend we've had a little bit of cloud cover. Today there's barely been any. It has been shining bright on the racetrack since first thing this morning. The asphalt temperature up to 55 degrees, by far and away the hottest point at any moment this weekend. So these tyres are going to be put through the ringer, although everyone has chose the soft option rear, the SE0, and Pirellis do work quite well in the hot conditions if you choose a softer compound. There is one anomaly with Somkat Chandra. He's chose the hard front tyre, and the rest are on the soft option front tyre. It's going to be more physical than, I think, for the riders, keeping, as Albert Arenas said, being able to breathe, keeping a little bit of energy to the end of the race. And we saw, it sounds like the Hondas were overheating in Moto 3, so keeping out of the slipstream. You don't want to stay in the group battle all along the race. You need to keep the temperature down in your motor. It's difficult to manage all those variables when you're out there and just wanting to go as fast as possible.
What about the track surface itself? 57 degrees Celsius is the track temperature. 35 degrees the air temperature, but what about how slick will it feel? Because I just look at it and it looks slick from here.
57 has gone up a further 2 degrees since the start of Moto 3. It is so slick. When you go out in 30 odd degrees track temperature, it already feels quite slick here, and honestly, it's a skating rink around here in the 50s, so it's going to be tricky for everyone.
What does that mean for tyre life?
It's actually, it doesn't work them that much harder. They just spin a little more. You're on the side of the tyre, it's walking around in the middle of the corner. You just don't have the grip to do the lap times you've done in the cooler conditions, so mainly the lap times are slower, but consumption is very, very similar.
So given all that then, who do you fancy for this race in these conditions?
It's a difficult one to call. I think the likes of Gonzalez, Agura and Canet are probably my three favourites, although they're on rows 3 and 5. You look across the front row and it is a bit of a mixed bag. Celestino Vietti is a rider who can spring a surprise and keep things sort of in check throughout what may be an attritional race, so he could be a surprise potential winner here today.
Tensions are rising, the atmosphere through the roof. We're all set then for the Petronas Grand Prix of Malaysia for Moto 2. Jorge Navarro, can he do the unthinkable and win when he's here as a substitute rider? The two OF American Racing Team bikes are on the front row of the grid. The run down to turn 1 is crucial. 17 laps ahead of us. I hope you're ready. I hope you're standing by for action. Red lights on. And blast off in Malaysia. Great start from Marcos Ramirez. He'll make the run down to turn 1 in first position. Justina Vietti is going to come through on the inside line as well. The world champion Ayagura is going to go land the brakes around the outside. Vietti and Agura 1-2. Ramirez third. Navarro's down into 4th position as we lose the track audio. It comes back to us now in turn 2 as they all make their way through. Gonzalez further back having a bit of a problem as well, rubbing and racing I suppose. His teammate Albert Arenas having to 5th position with Ayagura in P6. Up towards turn 4 we go then. Dixon's already made up 2 places, but Vietti leads. Ayagura, Ramirez, Navarro, Arenas, Onchu, Guevara, Gonzalez, Arborino, Dixon, Monrella, Salak, Boltas, Canet, Chantra. You're 15 points paying position so far, and here we see already that's Guevara trying to have a go on Dennis Onchu. Dixon's on the back of Arborino as well as they come through turn 7 and 8. So a good start from everyone so far. A nice clean getaway. No one's gone down on the opening lap of the race. That's also the best thing that could possibly happen to keep it nice and calm and safe between them all. Garcia gets ahead, and I think I'm going to be eating my words and coming into the braking zone now. Everyone just chopping up. It looks okay so far as they come through. Yellow flag, I spoke too soon. And is that... Hang on a minute. 3 riders out. Sura, Agus, Zonta van der Gerberg, they've all crashed out of the race. They've all had turn 9. So 3 retirements at the back. Vietti leading this race. Ayagura is going to go wide and up the inside because Marcos Ramirez for 2nd position. Might need a red flag here. We've got an incident down at turn 9 with 3 riders out. Zonta van der Gerberg is out. So is Senna Igus. So is Sura. Harrison Voice has dropped back as well. They're all stopping, starting, coming in the last corner as well. So we haven't got anything from Rider OK. All we've got is a yellow flag at that point. And Vortex, as I said, crashed out as well in the last corner. So 4 retirements then. No sign of the red flag, but I hope the stewards make the right decision if we have to ride through. Yellow flag is clear in Sector 3, but it's still in Sector 4. That's for Vortex crash. So Vietti leads this race at the moment.
Harrison Voigt.
Voigt, there we go. Wanted to see how that was pronounced on my end of the screen. So yellow flag's out for him. I hope turn 9's okay. Dixon's up into 8th place. Gonzalez down to 9th. Dixon, it was 3 abreast. Way up as Dennis Onchu at the moment. And Dixon has a moment at the exit as well. Onchu goes back 3 ahead of Dixon, but Onchu rear stepping out under braking at turn 4. Almost launched it straight off the circuit. Air temperature now at 35 degrees. Riders are okay. Everybody who crashed out in the opening lap, they are okay. I did speak too soon, yeah. Commentators curse on that matter, but at least everyone's okay. As we're now coming up towards turn 9's section now. As Dixon going ahead, getting now past Gonzalez on the inside line. This is at turn 9. Any debris left? No, all looks okay and cleared up. Good move from Dixon on the inside there of Gonzalez on the Grassini's team. Onchu's going to follow, Alberina's going to throw him through on the inside line for 9th position as well. So everyone's having a decent start. Dennis Onchu is in P7. He's our next one for Dixon to get through, and he's already on the back of him as they come into the braking zone for turn 14. Incident involving the 84 of Zonta van der Gerberg, the 81 of Senna Igus, and the 67 of Sura is currently under investigation by the stewards. Kind of saw that one coming, as it sort of had to be. Into the braking zone then for the last corner. You can see the lap time starting to fly through on your monitors now about who set the fastest ones. It's Justina Vietti with a 2-minute 5.898 as we enter lap 3. And Pirelli's data tyre here, they've already had some distance for Formula 1, so they know what they're getting into here at the circuit. They haven't come in completely blind on the inside line then. There's a bit of a difference there as Diego Monrella having to defend against Manuel Gonzalez, who's dropped back to 11th position. He's now got Philip Salak, Aaron Canet and Somkat Chatra on the back in the braking zone for turn 4. Vietti jumping ahead into the distance now as well. No jump start, says race control. We're watching the battle for 6th then. Albert Arenas getting in the way. Onchu still there. Battle for 10th now on our screens. And everything just starting to settle on lap 3 of 17. Everything now just beginning to find its correct pace. Let's check in with TNT Sport.
But he was so confident leaving Thailand last week. He was obviously so strong all weekend and then delivered with another victory, and just his post-race comments, I was like, oh, he's a true believer. And it just goes to show you turn up to the next event, doesn't work, and you can't end up languishing outside the top 10 as he is today.
There is Jake Dixon. He's passed Albert Arenas now, and he's got Onchu next on his hit list. He looked the fastest of anyone, didn't he? Actually, when we came here on Friday morning, straight away, he was fast from the off.
Yeah, in slick conditions Friday afternoon, the track was hot. He was super fast. Obviously, the crash did ruin his session, but he still ended up top of the sheets as Albert does go back up the inside, it looked like, in turn 14. But yeah, Jake had good rhythm. Then on Saturday morning, the temperatures were lower, the speed, the lap times were so fast, and Jake was a little bit struggled to match the pace he could.
Yeah, and I'm going to interrupt because Gonzalez just tried to go on the inside line of Diego Monrella, and it became a slipstream battle. Now we're watching it happen. Monrella's going to go defensive. Gonzalez will think about a move to the inside line in towards turn 1. It's going to be really late on the brake, trail braking almost. And he's going to go for it on the inside line. Super aggressive. Aaron Canet's going to be right there as well. Victor last time out in Thailand. Nothing can be done there, unfortunately, but still, they're pushing out there. They're really trying. They're really going for it. It's remaining as consistent as can be, and Vietti is holding the gap. It's a 1.1 second gap at the front to Marcos Ramirez in second. Navarro's down in 5th position, but there's still an awful long way to go here. We're watching the battle for 7th now between Albert Arenas in 8th and Jake Dixon in 7th. Arenas is trying to go around the outside line at turn 6. Not going to work out. The kink at 7 and 8, the two right-handers back-to-back. Dixon's holding that inside line. Tony Arborino is coming through on that battle as well. Arenas nearly going on the AstroTurf section that's designed to stop Formula 1 cars, and we already saw in the previous Moto3 race as well how dangerous it can be if you can get on the exit of those, so just sort of stay off them and just sort of stay as quickly as you can. As Arborino Thought about a move on the inside around of Arenas at turn 9. Hasn't worked out. We're down to 26 runners, by the way, in this race. So at least they all fit on the timing tower. Now is, I suppose, well, not the best timing, but it's a good thing that's happened as well, coming through into the mid part of this race. Because the last thing we need is it not fitting on the timing tower. Let's go back to TNT.
Seamless gearbox on these Triumph 765 engines, so a little bit more of a careful input from the rider.
Albert Arenas turning tighter, isn't he? And a couple of the riders in front, you just wonder whether that will cost you in terms of tyre later on in the race, using that edge to get yourself turned. The other riders trying to get the bike wider and stand it up to get the drive down this straight.
Yeah, to right, it's close front wheel to rear wheel between the two teammates, but Gonzalez happy to break onto the rear of Albert Arenas. And you can see the differences in lines in terms of exit. You do use more tyre for sure when you keep a little bit more corner speed at angle, and then some riders like to utilise the drive grip, square it up, V it off the last corner. Likewise out of 14 onto the back straight. It does give...
Oh, Canet, and he dropped it.
There, nervous for Canet. It's looked a little bit out of sorts all weekend, and yeah, we couldn't quite put our finger on why he was struggling, but the visual representation there, not quite able to lean on the front where he needs to, and just lacking a little bit of overall pace.
Yeah, lacking maybe a little bit of the lack of grip here in Sepang. Maybe that just affects him more than others. At the front, Celestino Vietti's being hunted down by Marcos Ramirez. The gap has come down gradually. It's now at 0.8 of a second. There you can see it. Vietti out front on the Red Bull KTM IO bike. Ramirez in second and Nagura in third. Isan Guevara's having a fantastic ride in fourth place, and Stel Navarro hangs on in fifth.
Yeah, it's more, Celli dropped 0.3 a lap to a 6.3, then last time around another 0.3 to a 6.6. I do think he's probably seen the signal on his pit board suggesting he's not getting away. Look at Ayagura, he's down the right side of shot, and he's actually level with the leaders on the braking zone to turn 1 from row 3. An impressive start for the Japanese rider.
I'm sure I've seen him do that before. I'm not sure whether it's Austria or somewhere, where he just sticks to the outside line and lets everyone else, you know, dive towards the inside. He does his own thing and then makes up position. So it looks like it was Aegis, Surra and Van der Gerberg all wanting the same piece of tarmac.
Seemed like Aegis, the innocent party up front, got collected with Van der Gerberg and Surra perhaps colliding, but obviously we could have almost seen the initial shot as they entered the turn 9, lap 1. It does really funnel in there, easy to make contact, and unfortunately for those three riders, all ending up on the deck today.
Yeah, it's uphill, that part. It's sort of, you're sort of braking downhill, and then mid-corner it becomes uphill quite quickly. So the front always wants to come up when you pull the throttle back. So it sort of goes like that when you want it to go forward. It's a difficult circumstance to get right. 12 to go then, lap 6 of 17. Vietti leads by 9/10 of a second to Marcos Ramirez. And as they come through into the braking zone, Vietti's gone a bit wide. Vietti's gone very, very wide. He's outbraked himself. Marcos Ramirez takes the lead. Vietti's coming back on the inside of him as well. And Vietti keeps the lead of the race. Vietti outbraked himself into turn 1, and it almost cost him big time. Now Marcos Ramirez is right at the back of him. He doesn't want to go just yet. It's not go time yet. So Vietti just outbraking himself, going too deep in towards turn number 1. So that's going to be a bit tight for him, as he'll hold off now. He's pulled out already. He's pulled out 3/10. So yeah, the gap has backed off. Kind of expected that to happen as well, to be fair, because the last thing you want to do is have a go and it not work out. So yeah, we knew that was going to happen, wasn't it? The sort of give and take between the two as they fly across now. Let's have another look at it. So midway through 1, yeah, it turned in. It just wouldn't turn. Too much speed. Had to back out of it. I said, okay, I'll risk it here and go straight through on the inside line. Yeah, SHT is asking what the weather is for MotoGP later. Lou, you're right, it's dry, it's not going to rain. And huge pressure for Bagnaia, massive pressure. It could be the decider today. Adam's asked that question. Perfect timing, Adam, as always. In your opinion, he asks, that's mine. Does Jorge Martin wrap up the MotoGP World Championship tonight? No. It'll go down to Barcelona. Barcelona is the new final round, by the way. That's been confirmed. 2 weeks' time. Same date as Valencia. Will be same race times as well. We'll just be moving over to Barcelona. at the circuit to Barcelona Catalunya. So it won't be the Catalan Grand Prix, it'll be the Barcelona Grand Prix. Nice that we can do that. Into the braking zone then, again with 11 to go. Vietti leads Ramirez, Ayagura, Navarro and Guevara. That's your top 5. Sonkat Chantra passed Salak into 13th position. Yes, he has. Thank you very much, SHT. Sean is on the case there. So lap 5, Ramirez was slower than Vietti because he had to back off. But lap 4 and lap 6, he was, well, lap 4 2 tenths faster. Lap 6, he was 5 tenths faster than Vietti. So definitely a case for full momentum and full-blown action here in MotoGP. Sorry, Moto2. I'm having to be very careful at the moment as well. Havile Cardless up to 23rd, passing Helmin Asman as well. Look at that, the top 3, the fastest was Ayagura with a 207.309, so it's changed positions back to TNT.
You leave it to the final quarter of the race and you do expect another tipping point. You just struggle a little bit to keep the temperature down.
Towards turn 9 they go. Boy Navarro holds firm, but turns nicely in behind Ayagura. Vietti steadied the ship after that moment at turn 1. Little warning perhaps, working in his favour. Agura judges these things so well. That's been the key, hasn't it, to his season?
Yeah, he's normally, the way he approaches his races, he's normally coming forward in the latter half, maybe even the last third. And at the moment, Celestino's setting a pace that's difficult to match here, even though Ramirez got across. I think is keeping his powder dry a little bit. He's utilising the riders in front just to set the reference lap time, and I think he's got something to respond with when needed.
Closed in comfortably there on Ramirez down into turn 15. When they cross the line, right here and now, 10 laps to go in this Moto2 Grand Prix of Malaysia. Still Celestino leads. Vietti has done so since the very start of this race. He started 3rd, behind Ramirez and Navarro, but got away superbly. Right over the curb on the inside there for Marcos Ramirez, but keeps in check. Guevara's pace is dropping. He's just at a 207.8 and soon will come into the clutches of Jake Dixon, who got through Onshu on that last lap. So Dixon quicker than a couple of riders in front of him, basically matching the pace of the leaders.
Yeah, Jake is a rider like Ayagura, usually can dish it out throughout the race when needed. He's always good at managing his tyres and his energy. So keeping such a solid rhythm at the moment, it's matching the lead grip, but almost getting across to teammate Izan Guevara. I think Jake, he's going to have to work hard, dig deep, but there's still a long way in this race to go.
Yeah, 3 seconds behind. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I think it's possible, as long as he doesn't burn up his tyre to get there. He's had to fight it out in the early laps as Navarro makes his way
on the inside. Navarro makes it through.
He likes the overtaking on the brakes there on Ayagura, like he did earlier in the race with Izan Guevara.
This sort of thing helps Dixon, though, doesn't it? To have Navarro battling away.
Does indeed. That's for 3rd. This is Ayagura into turn 14.
Through into turn 14. Ayagura chasing down Jorge Navarro. Behind Guevara. Now over a second behind Ayagura. And Dixon, who was 1.6 behind his teammate, is suddenly down to 3/4 of a second. So Guevara is struggling.
I'm interested to see the gap to the front for Jake, 3 seconds off Vietti the previous lap. I think he's got it a little bit closer here on this lap around when he gets into the draft of Ayagura. He's got to deal with his
flag
teammate
sector
first.
4.
Yeah, he is now 2 points.
Oh, Darren Binder's crashed. Rider okay, but Binder's gone down. And there's the confirmation with the beep beeps on the screen. Dan Binder has retired from this race at the final corner, so presumably the front's dipped away from him on entry. Not the way you want that race to end as well. So it's just a matter of who can survive this race really as well. That's the problem. And everyone's now starting to close back up again. The field's not as spread out as you think it is. Look at the gaps between them all as well. There's only, the biggest, yeah, there's only, well, top 16 separated by less than 10 seconds. That's a big one. So, yeah. Dan Binder's okay, but that yellow flag still remaining in sector 4 at the moment while the marshals recover the bike. So, an overtaking into the last corner. Through turn, yeah, I can see actually where it is. It's just on the inside line. Navarro looked into the inside line of Ramirez under braking into turn 9. Number 9 really does like that braking spot. Ramirez got caught out there by his own teammate diving through. Had to look back to see where Agura was. So Navarro leading is now starting on pole. Up to second, could end up leading this race. Number 9, turn 9's opportunity for overtaking with 9 to go. He's up to P2. Can he lead this race? Can he win this race? That would be fantastic if he can.
And in Moto 2, yeah, this would be some turnout, wouldn't it? Finished in 10th in Barcelona in the end when he was on the forward bike earlier this year, and that was impressive enough.
Yeah, by far and away forward's best result of the season. Actually, sorry, I'm doing Artigas a disservice in the wet weather. In Motegi, he did get 5th or 6th in the end, but in dry weather conditions, when Navarro jumped on, he led a session in Catalonia, he finished top 10, and it just shows his level as a Moto2 rider. This weekend, he's proven his desire remains that he wants to be a Moto2 rider, and obviously his pace deserves it.
Resilient ride this from Jake Dixon there. He's right on the tail of his teammate Isan Guevara. He's the only rider in the 206 bracket, 206.9 from Dixon. His teammates had a little bit of a hurry up on that previous lap, as Ramirez runs a little bit wider down through turn 2. That should give an opportunity for Agura here to get the drive on the Spaniard up towards turn 4. Ramirez has to be using tyre there through there to stay ahead of Agura.
He looks like he's struggling a little bit here, Marcos Ramirez. He's lost a couple of tenths and now fallen into the clutches of Agura, whilst to look at the gap, Jake Dixon to the leader, it is down to 2.4, so another 3 tenths the last time around.
And he got through his teammate there in turn 5. I saw it coming in the background, and he made it stick. So Dixon is on the charge here, and I have to say, having seen him hobble round the paddock this weekend, having a crutch to get on his bike after a nasty crash on Friday, it's impressive.
It is, yeah. I seen him this morning and was happy to say he was carrying his crutch rather than utilising it, and I thought that always bodes well.
Agura's on the inside! Nicely done!
Wow, we're on the 10th lap of 17, and now we're starting to see those riders that you fancy in conditions like this come to the fore. Agura past Ramirez, who's been struggling. Jake Dixon, who's shown it on a couple of occasions. I think to Aragon, for example, earlier this year, when the grip is at a premium, it's those riders who come through.
On now.
Ramirez taking a little look over his shoulder as he runs out of turn 11. When you see a rider do that, you know they're struggling. They're looking to see where's the next attack coming from, and it will be Jake Dixon before too long.
So Agura not giving Ramirez a chance there, running very, very close to Ramirez as he came through into the final corner. Still Vietti leads from Jorge Navarro. Last couple of laps, Navarro has been quicker. Dixon looked a lot more stable than Marcos Ramirez through that final corner when they crossed the line. 7 to go in the Malaysian Grand Prix in Moto 2.
You see Arbolino made his way through on Anjou on this lap. It looks like Dennis is struggling somewhat, just dropped a little bit of pace, probably tyre consumption issues already at this stage. He was a little too over-exuberant in the early laps.
Yeah, and you wonder if anyone else is, as we've said before. Navarro and Dixon. Dixon is actually the fastest rider on circuit. Navarro, the only other rider in that 207.0 bracket.
Yeah, down to 2.1, the gap between Vietti and Dixon. So Jake wasted no time again at turn 4.
Yeah, he's about to come through on Marcos Ramirez, and Ramirez will drop back to 5th. I'm pretty certain. Top of the picture. Will Ramirez try and get back at turn 5? Dixon not giving him a shot there. Just a little bobble at the bump at turn 5, but rode it well. And what is it that Dixon does as now Vietti comes under pressure from Navarro?
Yeah, this is going to be changing over again. Navarro coming up to his favourite overtaking spot on the track at turn 9. He's got a good exit out of 8, runs up the hill to turn 9. Oh, and Vietti goes a little bit wiggly on the brakes. Is Navarro going to throw it up the inside this time around? No, he's not, but Dixon's up to 4th. He's on the back of Agura. All of a sudden, the race is on, and Navarro's really got a great exit on Vietti. So Race on then here in Malaysia, lap 11 of 17, and it's starting to get entertaining again. It's starting to push the power on as they come through, and Ayagura's out. The champion has crashed out of the Malaysian Grand Prix. Ayagura is out. Don't believe it. That's put Ramirez fourth, Dixon up as well, and he's out. Ayagura retires. It stopped with a technical issue. Wow. Champion's out too. And Dixon's having a go as well.
That, unfortunately. So, as Vietti leads, Jorge Navarro on his tail. Ayagura, the new champion, will be relieved to have got that one done, won't he?
Yeah.
He has dropped out of third place. We haven't seen what's happened yet as Marcos Ramirez has reclaimed the podium spot from Dixon. It was Dixon who was the one on the charge, but that has cost them time in their chasing down of the lead duo. And now a second win for Isan Guevara here.
Yeah, just seeing the stop with technical issue for Ayagura means that it possibly was when the machine stopped costing Jake the time. It does open the gap up to 1.8 of a second. That is a big margin after Jake put his head down for a number of laps to get across there.
It had been 1.4 on the previous lap, and suddenly the gap between Dixon and the leaders is
Dixon's
out
on
to
the
2.2.
inside. He takes third position away from Ramirez on the inside of turn 4.
Take the place from Marcos Ramirez. So Dixon takes the tighter line down into turn 5, rights the bump again, and now is back up into the podium positions. Surely at 5.5 laps, a little wobble from as he came through turn 6 on that occasion. Surely that's a bridge too far.
Yeah, it's a bit of an ask, but you can see how hard he's pushing. He was a little tighter into 6th, I think, to defend, worrying that Marcos Ramirez was going to be back up the inside. You can see the bubble over the bump there, but now he's got to forget about Marcos, get his head down. Hope he doesn't need to use too much tire to get across here. If Navarro and Vietti go into a bit of a duel, it will assist.
Well, this is helping, I think, right now, because there was a little moment, wasn't there, for Vietti? It forced Navarro to roll out of it. So the gap between Navarro and Dixon did stand at 1.8 seconds. We'll see now as they come to the third split whether that has changed as they drop down through 12. The next split comes as they flick the bike right. So Vietti leading from Navarro. The gap back to Jake Dixon, 1.6 seconds, so lost a couple of tenths in that sector alone. And if they start scrapping, we know what's going to happen.
Fights
at the
on,
front.
yeah.
You can see Jake put a little bit of daylight into Ramirez and his teammate, and at the moment he should have cool air on his front tyre, on his engine, and hopefully he can get across here, but he's going to have to put a couple of hot laps in, and Navarro could do with trouble in Vietti, and this is obviously being biased and wanting Jake to get into the battle for the win, not just for a third step of the podium today.
Of course, this, it's big for the places after Ayagura in the championship, because they're all battling for jockeying for the position. Dixon 8th, Vietti in 9th place. They're going to want important points for their championship. Move up the order. Oh, that was a little bit wide down there, down at turn 1, I think, for Jake Dixon as he tried to eat up the ground. He is still hanging on to third place, and now Vietti just pulled ever so slightly on Navarro here.
Yeah, Navarro's looking good, isn't he? He doesn't look like he's in too much trouble to match the pace of Vietti. Is there a passing spot? I'm sure he can lever one at some point, although Vietti does look comfortable here. This is the moment when Ayagura's machine does cut out, I believe.
Right, it just goes on him, yeah.
That's what cost Jake on the ground. Got to the wrong side of Ayagura. Lucky to avoid contact there.
He did really well, actually, to avoid him, didn't he? I'm not quite sure what's happened there, though. Tries to bump it and get it going again, but Ayagura, let's have a listen.
Throttle went, died completely.
Literally just switched off as soon as he engaged second gear. It didn't sound like engine, it sounded more electronic. When you hear an engine just switch off like that, it's like someone hits the kill switch.
So Jake Dixon he's made up 3/10 on Vietti on this lap so far. Surely too little too late, 4.5 to go. Vietti's pulling now on Jorge Navarro. Has he kept his tyres in check? Remember, Vietti already this season a race winner in Austria and in Misano. Been off through injury twice already this season. Once was a training injury, wasn't it, back in Le Mans, and then missed out in Australia and in Thailand. Crashed in Australian, hurt his shoulder at the Miller hairpin.
Yeah. 4 to go.
Clouds coming over the circuit now, Michael. Just thinking about later for MotoGP, that could make things interesting there. Let's have a look across the line now. 207.1 from Vietti. He has left something in the tank here, and Celestino Vietti 4/10 quicker than Navarro, Dixon and Ramirez behind him.
Yeah, such a response from Vietti. We know he's got this in his arsenal. He's always been able to pull out a surprise victory when you least expect it, although he has had good rhythm this weekend coming back from injury. And yeah, controlling things at the front, but still 4 laps remained. He's got to keep this up all the way to the end. Navarro and Dixon coming a little bit closer to Jorge on that lap.
4 to go.
On board with Canet. This would seal second place in the championship for him. This ride right here, right now. Got enough of a comfortable cushion back to Sergio Garcia, so Canet just doing enough. And the perennial bridesmaid in Moto2 would be number 2 overall in Moto2 this year.
Which tees him up well, returning with this team for another championship tilt next season. You've got to say he will start as favourite.
Albert Arenas gets ahead of Jeremy Alcover. That puts him up as well into turn 9 on board with Aaron Canet.
See those little bumps on the onboard camera, that it is exactly where you're leaning into the apex where Pecco Bagnaia just had this front washout yesterday. Nice, these onboard shots.
Good exit from, look at those.
See all the bits of rubber flying off Manu Gonzalez's tyre.
You could hear it hit the camera. Canet under braking, getting him.
Canet now trying to line him up. Diogo Moreira's there as well. He rides well when the tyres are off. At the front, the gap has closed again by another couple of tenths from Jorge Navarro. But is it too little too late?
Canet's out braking himself into turn 15.
Gonzalez holds firm. This is a battle for 8 between himself, Aaron Canet, and Diogo Moreira. A little twitch as he applied the throttle there. Manu Gonzalez at the front. The gap has steadied. 0.8 of a second now.
1.1 now.
But 7.3, that's close with Guevara and Ramirez. Ramirez just leans on in on top of him.
Yeah, Ramirez's job now is to keep Guevara at bay and make it a brilliant day for American racing. 2nd and 4th as things stand. For Aspar as well, bear in mind we've had the emotional scenes in Moto3. A 3rd and a 5th would be their best return of the season in a single race.
Yeah, they've not had Guevara
There goes
really
Canet.
on this form all season, with Jake looking odds on to take a podium here. And I think Jake's he's been on a 2-minute 7.3 the last time around, but it's not enough to get into contention with Navarro and Vietti. So I
Need to scrap, doesn't he, out front?
Yeah, needs a bit of a mix-up between those two. And it's actually stretched in Sector 1, so Vietti's good in there. Even though he lost the front earlier in the race, it hasn't knocked his confidence through the first section at all.
Here comes Guevara again on Ramirez, levels in. That's nicely done, isn't
Oh,
it? From
blimey.
Isan Guevara.
Ramirez, they took him out.
And goes through on Marcos Ramirez and up to 4th place now. Will make the switch. When are we getting any announcement about this Pramac Yamaha team, or whether it has Pramac on it or not?
Yeah, we did expect to hear it. Gino Borsellino told us before the flyaways that we would hear it pretty soon, and we're still waiting for an announcement, but yeah, I expect it should arrive very soon.
Frustrating for Ayagura, but of course it'd be a lot more frustrating if it's still been battling for the championship. Yeah. Bear in mind, this is the circuit really where he threw away the 2022 World Championship. Not got fondest memories of Malaysia.
No, luckily got the championship wrapped up in Thailand, so no stress today. But yeah, it is one of those, you don't see many issues with the Moto2 machines or from the empty helmet squad. A quality run outfit this year.
Tony Arbolino is closing in behind Marcos Ramirez now. He was 6/10 quicker than the Andalusian on that last lap. So with 2 laps remaining, can Tony find a way through to get a top 5?
You've got to say it's an impressive lap to come back across there with the 8.6 for Ramirez. Arbolino keeping his pace pretty close to that of Navarro and Vietti.
Fastest rider on track is Jake Dixon. 4 tenths quicker than Navarro, 3 tenths quicker than Vietti, but it looks like being a little bit too little too late.
Sadly
for
so.
the Brits. He's closed the gap to pretty much a second now between himself and Navarro.
It's possible. It's possible. It may be a bridge too far, but yeah, you'd never give up. If it hadn't been for the incident with Ayagura,
yeah,
he should be right in touch with both Navarro and Vietti now.
Yeah, he'll be ruining that moment. Nothing anyone could do, just a mechanical problem. Something happened with Agura's bike, and he was actually 1.5 seconds behind at that moment, and then lost so much time. At the front, Vietti still in front of Navarro. Dixon closing fast.
Albarino's on the inside line.
Behind Nissan Guevara. Ramirez dropping back into 6th place now as they loop around turn 10. He then tightens up for 11.
No, it's a real push back between it as well. Not been the most exciting race, has it, this one? But it has been a challenge, and it has been Vietti who's come up for it all. Alcoba gets up to 12th ahead of Arenas as well. Justina Vietti, just for information, hasn't won since Emilia Romagna earlier on this year in San Marino. It's going to be his 7th win in Moto2, his 9th career win. If he can hold it on together into the last corner, then it'll be another lap to go here in Malaysia. 1.2 seconds, Vietti leads to Navarro. Navarro, last time he raced, of course, in Australia last year, crashed out. Should have been a red flag. Oh, sorry, it was 2022, actually. But now he's going to get a podium on his return and prove why he should be in this series full time. Guevara, oh, he's taken 3rd. Dixon's gone down to 4th place and almost lost out to Albarino. Dixon's tyres are gone and he's lost a lot of pace out there. I thought there might be a little bit of a movement back. There isn't. Don't know what's happened to the track noise here. They've had to turn it right up in order to get it back. Vietti, 1.2 differential at the moment as they rise together. Well, this is going to be an interesting little race for MotoGP. Clouds are coming over. Sergio Garcia finished in the top 10 only once in the last 8 races. It looks like he's going to be getting one top 10 finish in the last 9 races. What an absolute slump he's having lately. Sadly so, yeah. Zonta van der Gerberg has been out in of this race so far. Jorge Navarro, 100% in my book, deserves Rider of the Day to fight back. Just, first weekend on the bike, and he's put it on pole, and he's P2 in the race. Remarkable effort from this man. Izan Guevara had a late race charge, but Justina Vietti is going to take victory here in Malaysia. Out of turn 14, the long backstretch remains. Songkat Chancha gets ahead of Diego Monrella. Sergio Garcia's going to be the last points-paying position, so at least he's going to have points in this event. Out of the last corner, Cestino Vietti is going to win for a 3rd time in 2024. Yellow flag in the last corner. Alcoba's crashed. Cestino Vietti wins in Malaysia. Jorge Navarro delivers an amazing result in 2nd place. A remarkable feat from him. Izan Guevara is 3rd. Alcoba crashed at the last line, so that's why the yellow flags are out. Aaron Canet finished in 8th place. Final point going to Philip Salak at the line. Vietti wins the Malaysia Grand Prix. Jorge Navarro finishing in 2nd place. And the Aspar team watching on. Guevara 3rd, Dixon 4th. And the Valencia flag for the Aspar team as well, for Guevara and Dixon. There's a crash at the line. Much further behind us. This is the last lap. What are we looking at here? This is Cestino Vietti on the last lap. Oh, hang on. Oh, that's how Dixon got through. Dixon let Guevara through on the straight. Well, that's unusual. Is there an ad break coming?
Listen at the onboard, looks over his shoulder, looks over at the team.
That's
and
nice.
Then sits up and rolls out of it. Yeah, he thought the race was done and then realises it's not, as his teammate fires back past him.
Oh,
disaster for Dixon.
Dixon thought the race was over and he's miscounted. Oh, that's why Jake wasn't on the podium. That was the confusion. Unbelievable. I didn't expect to see that, to be fair. That was a surprise. Dixon thought the race was over. It all messed up at the line. Here's your results then. Justina Vietti wins here in Valencia. Oh, there we go. That's because of everything. Justina Vietti wins here in Malaysia. Jorge Navarro is second. Aizan Guevara is third. Jake Dixon fourth in the end. Tony Albrino is fifth. Marcos Ramirez is sixth. Dennis Onchu is seventh. Aaron Canet eighth. Somkat Chachana, Diego Morello in 10th, Manuel Gonzalez 11th, Albert Arenas 12th, Alonso Lopez 13th, Sergio Garcia 14th, Philip Salak the last point in 15th, 16th for Juan Macia, 17th for Mario Argi, Barry Boltas 18th, Dennis Foggia 19th, Alice Escray is 20th, Javier Cardias is 21st, Javier Ortega is 22nd, Herman Asman 23rd, Zonta van der Gerberg 24th, but finished the race but not classified, retired, Alcoba, Agura, Binder, Igus, Asura and Vortier as well, all out of the event. Well, Moto 2 wasn't really that great, but next up we've got the decider, possibly. The rematch. 29 points the gap in the World Championship between Martin and Bagnaia. Bagnaia needs to win this race and get that down for the final in Barcelona in 2 weeks' time. We're going to go through with the podium ceremony as well. We'll hand over for TNT for all the post-race analysis here of Moto 2. But certainly, it is an interesting weekend and an interesting tactic ahead of us. Next up, it's MotoGP and the time for racing as well. It's going to be quite an entertaining weekend, as this one, as we take a look with Vietti. Yeah, Alcoba did crash out the last corner. It did say rider okay. Which is fantastic news. We've got an hour before the MotoGP race. I'm going to take a seat and I'll swap us over to the secondary camera. I'm not feeling 100% at the moment as well. Megan was supposed to be with me for these, but we gave her the morning off because she's got to be up early now to cover the qualifying with me for Formula 1, which has moved to 7:30 a.m. Over in Brazil, which is, I think, the earliest qualifying I can ever remember in Formula 1. That's 10:30 our time here in the UK, and we've got a busy day ahead of us. So in order for Megan not to be up for about 19 and a half hours, like me, she's had time off and will be up, and she'll be joining us for MotoGP coming up shortly as well here so for the Premier class as they come back into the pit lane. TNT taking a long ad break here. Hope they get back quick so we can hand over and get it all sorted. Alcoba did go down at the line. Excuse me. What an absolute, yeah, here we go. Back to TNT then for the action and post-race analysis here from Malaysia for the Grand Prix of Moto 2. Stay with us here.
We are down in the asphalt garage where Jake Dixon has come out of the back, gone straight out the back. He thought he'd won. Comes across the line. Michael, you've got a theory, haven't you? It's not saying number one if you look on the board on the left-hand side. What do you think?
Yeah, under the gantry, where you go under at the start-finish, there is an LCD display screen which counts down the time when you're on the grid, and I think it counts the laps down, so it's easier to see it than it is to see your pit board, whether Jake has just been looking at that each lap, came across, and the countdown is obviously wrong, or it can be, because it changes as you cross, and unfortunately I think that's what happened to Jake. He's not been looking at his pit board, didn't look for the checkered flag and just assumed the race was over and threw away a podium that he had earned so well today.
Yeah, he was in third at the time, finished fourth in the end, so you know, some recompense but scant reward. He could have won this race on another day, Michael.
Yeah, it's such good rhythm. worked so hard to get across. Sayagura's bike stopping in front of him. Looks like Navarro's maybe run out of fuel. His bike did stop on the slowing down lap, but yeah, Navarro was a class act today, although I think Jake will be ruined what could have been a win on another day. At least a podium today, had earned a third place.
Run out of fuel in terms of his bike, but also looks like physically. But Jorge Navarro gets the floor, and it's Alex Rins helping him out there. But the Valencian rider has come back. Had to walk quite a way back. Whatever has happened to his bike there, and he is shattered. But he has put in a brilliant job as a replacement rider.
Yes, standout performance, and you do not expect it coming in, jumping on someone else's bike. 2 weekends to adapt, and immediately he's on the pace here in Sepang and delivered. Second place, almost took the fight to victory for Vietti on those last laps, but just didn't quite have it. Settled for a solid second in the end.
Tony Arbolino 5th across the line. Tried to get Dixon at the end, but wasn't to be. Let's hear from Ihsan Guevara, former Moto3 champ, after his first podium in Moto2.
Ihsan, in brutally hot, long, hard conditions, how does it feel to get a podium?
Yeah, great race. After 2 years, I got my last podium in Moto3. I'm so happy for staying here. My last race is in Moto2 with team. It's podium for him, but so happy for me for this podium. I enjoy with my family, with my sponsor, with all. It's incredible.
Huge congratulations.
Yeah, you can see the relief there for Ihsan Guevara, former Moto3 champ. We thought he was going all the way to the top. He stalled a little bit over the last couple of years, but I have to say, last few, it's definitely been an uptick.
Yeah, huge turnaround really when you look at his results the last half of this season, as Azman is out there celebrating with the home fans in Malaysia.
He's done his best there today, 23rd across the line for Helmi. Alonso Lopez was 13th across the line, Garcia 14th, and Philip Salat rounding out the points. It's Celestino Vietti who celebrates victory in the Malaysian Grand Prix.
Celestino, fresh back from injury, not fully recovered, not even your team manager expected you to do that. How did you do it?
I can't really expect this result. Really was a tough weekend for the pain, for everything. We managed really well with my physio that I really want to thank. But also the team gave me a really confident bike since the beginning. So we said maybe we can try to do a good qualifying. And then we do it and we say we have to try. So really happy about that. Unfortunately, it was not an easy year for us, but the feeling was there all the year. So I'm happy for me, for the team. And today we don't have too much to cheer because we have to think about the Valencia things. And I'm really with them, and I hope that everything can be fine really soon.
Great words and congratulations.
Yeah, we echo the congratulations there from Simon for Celestino Vietti. Jorge Navarro didn't look too well there. We'll bring you any information on how he's doing as soon as we get it. It is so hot here. You have to think it's heat exhaustion.
Oh, 100%. It's hot as... I've known it. I've been coming here for 20 years. Today is one of those days you'll remember for the heat.
Yeah.
It's horrible, isn't it?
No, it is quite extraordinary, which is why actually we're standing under the trees here, because there's a little bit of breeze, and standing in the direct sunlight just for 1 minute, it's searing. So to be out there racing in leathers for all those laps, it's very difficult for all of the riders out there today. It was a race that we thought was pretty open, actually. Celestino Vietti making the most of it.
Yeah, absolutely. We didn't know what sort of race we were going to get. It was a confusing front row because we knew Vietti was injured, but what a race. He took advantage of other people's weaknesses. He got the start. He checked out 1.4 seconds on the first lap. I thought, oh, this is going to be a boring race. And then they clawed him back in. I think at that point he saw the gap. Maybe even panicked that he was going to be burning his tyres out. So then he backed off the pace. But yeah, it wasn't a classic. It was a strange old race, hard to call. But in the end, he deserved to win.
And a little bit of head scratching for Jake Dixon, really, because he was looking so good out there. And, you know, he's also carrying quite an injury with his leg. And clearly he thought that that he was done, and he was in third place. I mean, could he have moved up the ranks as well, do you think, on a final lap?
It would have been it would have been close. It'd have been on the back of his team. Look, he's come out the last corner. He's assumed it's the last lap, and obviously we'll get a chance to speak to him to think what he has seen or misread. I mean, I'm going to also say the heat could play a part in it. I mean, inside your helmet, you can't see too clearly. You end up with a lot of water on the inside of your visor, a lot of sweat drips off your nose in the heavy braking zone. So it's a big mistake. I feel sorry for him. We've seen it happen in the past. Look, we're on board with him. Just listen to him. He just like looks over his shoulder. Yeah, that'll do. I'll take a podium, get it over the line, and instantly just like backs off because you're exhausted. Yeah, that'll do nicely. Then he sees the bike. He sees his teammate come flying past him, and at that point, straight away you're like, hang on. Then he realises. So yeah, it's a shame. I really feel for him. I really feel for him. He'll be gutted because he deserved a podium. He was the fastest man on the track. Quite interested to see. He's straight out.
Yeah, he came out the back of the garage, really upset. And obviously, there's a lot of emotion in that team as well, particularly this weekend. But if you end up in a situation like that, like we saw Aleix Espargaro in Catalonia a few years ago, it is always about confusion. But this heat, it's only going to add to that, isn't it?
Yeah, you times it by 10 with the heat. Like I said, we'll get a chance to speak to him and find out what the situation was. Have the team put something wrong on the pit board? It can happen. You can sometimes look at somebody else's pit board and it can confuse you. We saw with Aleix, his situation was he was reading the tracks signage, which was wrong or different to how he counts down, believe it or not, the race. So there are obviously different circumstances why it's happened. Yeah, it's a shame.
Yeah, we'll talk to him and find out. It looks like Jorge Navarro's had some fluids and is feeling a little better and can go up and mark his podium. So let's head over to Gav now.
Yeah, thank you very much, Susie. Didn't look good, did it? Because he cut out with fuel, he'd had to walk his way back, and so that will take it out of him even more. The Valencian flag is proudly displayed for the Aspar team as Isan Guevara, the Mallorcan, stands up on the podium, but it's a Valencian in second in Jorge Navarro. What a super sub he's been for Joe Roberts this weekend. Great performance from him. And Celestino Vietti, his third win of the season, moves him up to 7th in the championship, and still with an outside shot of finishing in the top 3. So first of all, the team's trophy being handed out to the Red Bull KTM IO squad. Aki Ayo proudly watches on from below the podium. Not had a podium since his Moto3 days, but Isan Guevara finally steps up there. Last time he did so was in Valencia back in 2022. As you can see, his thoughts elsewhere after that podium today. But it does bode better for Guevara than it has done over the last couple of years. Standing in for Joe Roberts, the Valencian Jorge Navarro takes second place. Cheers from the American racing squad underneath. Jorge Villegas, the FIM president, hands over the trophy then to our race winner for the 3rd time this year. His 7th now in Moto2, Celestino Vietti. I'm sure he's going to be in the mix for the championship next year if he can stay fit throughout.
Absolutely a wonderful race here in Moto2. It's delivered another great, exciting weekend. One more left then. That's MotoGP here from Malaysia. That's the rematch that's coming up. Who's going to be world champion? But Moto2 will return at the Barcelona Grand Prix. Vietti victorious, Navarro second, Guevara third. We'll see you in 2 weeks' time at Barcelona. Next up, though, the rematch. Can Martin be world champion? That's coming up soon.